Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is HN Annotated. With the tragic passing of Carrie Fisher prior to the release of The Last Jedi last year, it threw some concerns about how this would affect her Star Wars character, General Leia. At the time, many assumed that Leia would be killed off in The Last Jedi to tie into her real-world passing to avoid having to deal with the fate of her character in the not-yet-produced Episode 9. But Leia made it all the way through The Last Jedi, and in doing so became the last surviving member of the original trio of her, Luke, and Han. Now that meant that Episode 9 would be greatly affected by Fisher's passing. Originally it was assumed that they would write Leia out of Episode 9, maybe in the opening crawl, with a few reused scenes from Episodes 7 and 8 to give her more of a send-off. This was supported by Kathleen Kennedy saying that Leia wouldn't be in Episode 9, and other reports saying that Leia would not be digitally recreated. Which, in and of itself, is a good thing considering what happened the last time she was. But all of this changed with the cast announcements for Episode 9, which confirmed that Mark Hamill would return in spite of Luke's death, but also that Carrie Fisher would be in the film. So what was their solution? Well, when asked about it, director J.J. Abrams said, "Finding a truly satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga without her eluded us. We never were going to recast her or use a CG character. With the support and blessing of her daughter Billy, we found a way to honor Carrie's legacy and the role as Leia in Episode 9 by using unseen footage we shot together in Episode 7. This would make a lot of sense. In the production of a film, there often ends up being many scenes and even full subplots removed from a finished film. The reason could be anything from the studio mandating the film hit a certain length, to the director ultimately deciding that the scenes don't add enough to the overall story to justify their inclusion. This isn't to say that the scenes are bad, just that they're tangential enough to the main narrative to not be essential. It is good to know that Carrie will be in the final film of the Skywalker saga, especially with what the original director, Colin Trevorrow, said that she told him. According to what he told Vanity Fair, "The minute she finished shooting The Last Jedi, she grabbed me and said, 'I'd better be at the forefront of 9, because Harrison Ford was in the front and center of 7, and Mark was in front and center on 8. She thought 9 would be her movie, and it would have been.'" With her passing, and in lieu of her thoughts on what her role should have been in Episode 9, it's important that the role they give her match up. While we can't say what her role exactly will be, or how it will affect the other parts of the narrative, we may in fact have an idea of what her subplot could be. This theory comes to us from Screen Rant and is based on an assembled plot synopsis of The Force Awakens that the website Making Star Wars pieced together from various plot leaks prior to the film's release. While some bits of this plot leak were off from what we ultimately saw, many of the scenes played out exactly how they were reported. Included multiple times in this plot leak was a reference to a subplot involving Leia that isn't even alluded to in the final film. This would be the Sledgehammer, though some sites are reporting it to be called the Warhammer. The Sledgehammer was supposedly a big super weapon of the Resistance that Leia put a lot of stock into. We first would have heard about the weapon when Han's group finally meets up with Leia at the Resistance's base. The Sledgehammer then would be used in action in the lead-up to Han's group infiltrating the Starkiller base to find Rey and then destroy it. The Sledgehammer was apparently so powerful that it could tear apart Star Destroyers like they were made out of Lego bricks. But then a character who's referred to as the General of the First Order, probably Hux, orders that they use the First Order's defensive superweapon, the Array, which would wipe out all the ships fighting above and around Starkiller base, even their own. His troops refuse to do this because it would mean the loss of their own men, but he ignores them and does it himself. This wipes out their forces, most of the Resistance, and the Sledgehammer. This heavy loss causes Leia to lose hope and call a full withdrawal and retreat. They presume that Han and his group are dead, as are the rest of the forces fighting on the planet. However, Han's group somehow survives this, as does Poe and his unit, which leads us into our finale as normal. The existence of this superweapon seems to be backed up by an art book released in relation to The Force Awakens. The question then becomes, how do they use this footage now? Well, considering the rumors of a time skip that happens between The Last Jedi and Episode 9, it's possible that in that time the Resistance gained more ground back after the losses in Episode 8. Leia, after having seen the losses that her plans for retreat caused in the previous film, could have become more militant and called for the creation of the Sledgehammer, or Warhammer, which is where her footage then comes in. Then they just edit and build the battles around this footage, and boom, the weapon plot is restored. It's possible that there's even more footage to be used from Episode 7 that we don't know about, but for right now, this is our best lead. But what do you guys think? Do you think the sledgehammer, or warhammer if you prefer, will be used in the final film? And what else do you think Leia's role will be? Well, as always, let us know down in the comments, but until next time, this has been Tim from the Hybrid Network, signing out.